Hopeful Beginnings is a 501c3 dedicated to perinatal mental health and adoption services. We believe in empowering women and families to build nurturing homes for children. The Hopeful Beginnings podcast tells the stories of pregnancy, birth, and parenthood through the eyes of professionals who serve families in our Chicagoland community. Find out more at hopefulbeginning.org. Hello, everyone. We're here today doing the Hopeful Beginnings podcast. Hopeful Beginnings is a 501c3 dedicated to perinatal mental health and adoption services in the community. Our vision is that all women and children are empowered to provide nurturing homes for children. Today, I'm here with my very special guest, Dr. Natalia Nieves, who is the director of the Rolling Meadows Human Service Department. She earned her bachelor's from Michigan State University, her master's in psychology, and her doctorate in couples and families therapy from Adler University. Welcome, Dr. Nieves. Is there anything else I can add to your introduction?
I think you've added plenty. I have been with the City of Rolling Meadows for almost 13 years. I think that's where I'll retire from.
Yeah, you've been doing a really amazing work. I know you started as the police social worker there, correct? And now it's a full-service human service department.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I am a huge fan of Hopeful Beginning, and I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. Our goal with this podcast is really to talk about stories of birth, of pregnancy, and parenting through the professionals that are serving our community. And I really wanted to ask you to start off, how has serving the Rolling Meadows community impacted your life?
I think that's a beautiful question. I don't pause and ponder upon such type of content very often. So I think it's profoundly changed my life. It's really highlighted the value of capitalizing on people's resilience, right? Enhancing the compassionate response. And to me, I quickly learned that there's tremendous strength when people come together.
Yeah.
I think that, there are so many challenges that our clients and our residents face that feel so large that they are outside of their control. Most things are truly outside of our control, things that happen to us, whether it be larger systemic issues or just simply bad luck, right? It's so important to be there and to recognize that the moment we're interacting with that one person, we are the system to them. It's easy to sometimes complain like, oh, the systems are setting us up to fail. But you know what? To that person, they see you as someone that's supposed to help them. Mm-hmm. They trust you with their crisis, with their story, with their need, and make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's such a responsibility, right? To be the system to people, because I know when I think about the system, I'm also thinking about bigger systems, like DCFS, and they're the system to me. But you're right, to that Rolling Meadows senior, to the Rolling Meadows mom who needs help with her rent, you guys, your staff, and you are the system. That's right. And I think it's a tremendous gift to have that power in people's lives, but it can be really heavy.
Yes, it's a gift that comes with responsibility and accountability to know that it's also a driving force. Like, we're doing our very best for this person, because no matter how they choose, what they end up choosing, right? Because there's so much elements of choice as to what you do with what you're struggling with, or what the cards that you get. At least I presented some options,
right?
Some choices, some element of free will, and that's support. I don't think that we value enough of that support in society. Someone to be there alongside a person when they're having some type of struggle just makes such a difference.
Absolutely. And I know that you've really done such a tremendous job in the Rolling Meadows, community of building a human service department that truly is able to serve all residents of Rolling Meadows with quality services.
Exactly.
And that's so unique. We really often underestimate the power that our local government can have on people to improve their lives and connect them to those larger systems.
Yeah.
And I know you and we really have been able to collaborate a lot in the mental health space. So you guys right now have you have a full-time social worker, or is she at LCSW?
Yes, I have several social workers on staff. I have a mental health clinician that we specifically hired. I do want to say that it is a paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. It is to say, as a local government, we are valuing human services in all the subdivisions that it encompasses as much as we value police, fire, public works. Is putting us at the same level playing field. I think that's it's a shift and very much in a needed direction. Is prevention and reaction. It's both and, right? So yes, we love collaborating with you all. We've always, because you get one piece, the person that is having an unexpected pregnancy, et cetera. And then we get the rest. We get domestic violence survivors. We get sexual abuse survivors. We get elder abuse survivors. We get everything else, right?
Yeah, people's lives are immensely complicated, right? And what would you tell that, let's say, like that mom who's, in Rolling Meadows in her apartment, and she has this beautiful baby, but she's struggling with, maybe getting diapers for that kiddo, but also her mental health. What would you say to that person?
I would say you're not alone. I think asking for help is such a strength. We sometimes make it, systemically speaking, we make it a little challenging.
Right.
When I first had my babies, I would go to the doctor all the time for all the usual checkups. And there was always this form like, oh yeah, fill out that form. And knowing what I know, it is the assessment to evaluate whether someone having postpartum depressive symptoms. That's so not the way to ask, right?
Right.
When we think about advocating in different ways, I think we could do better to really just make the assumption that this absolutely life-altering experience of having a child or welcoming a child into your life, and however this child makes it to your life, is going to require some supports. And the mental health piece shouldn't be so taboo. It shouldn't be so scary, intimidating, or shame-inducing to ask for help. I think that when you have a frank conversation with a parent that is like, what do you want for your child in the future? What do you want to pass on? Mm-hmm. When you have a conversation about, and what do you want to protect your children from? They will bring up some stuff that could very well be treated in the mental health treatment capacity with a therapist, and to explain that you cannot do those things alone, that you can't not pass on some really harmful patterns that have been there for a really long time without some help, is conversations that we need to be having.
Yeah, I think society, and I can say us, right? Because I'm a mom and you're a mom too. And I think that's what's so exciting about both of our positions is we are women leading out, our communities to have the services that, we want other women to have, that we want for ourselves in a way. Society really, though, sets us up to be like, okay, we have grown this baby inside of our bellies for 40 weeks, and we should know what to do, right? When it's just not possible these days. The fact is most households, they need, if there are two parents, those two parents need to be working. And you're right. Often when we get individuals into our care for therapy, the first questions we ask, yes, they might be on the Edinburgh, which they've taken like many times at their doctor's office, but it also is like, when is the last time you showered? And not because you smell funny, even though you might. We do a lot of telehealth, but because it is so difficult to care for yourself when you're caring for a human that's completely dependent on you.
Yeah.
And then to add the layers of, you also need to go to work as soon as possible because you have all of these expenses connected to this little human. We need to have a community that's going to support these young families.
Yeah. And then there's so many different cultural messages that we get that seem to make sense, but many times they're contradicting.
Yeah.
Put on social media all these perfect images of this perfect family, these perfect children that are also beautifully dressed and well-fed and healthy and growing. And, just all these pressures are very much there. There isn't the space to acknowledge that there is so many conflicting emotions, even upon bringing a very loved little being into the world, right? There's a grief, there's a loss. Oh my God, I can never go to the bathroom alone ever again. Some new parents might not realize that yet.
Yeah. Surprise.
And we don't always make space for those that are coupled to grieve that new reality that they will, they'll rarely have a moment to themselves again. So I think that I always have whenever I get an opportunity to put a plug for relational work. We need to heal in relationship. We need to make space for couples therapy, for family therapy. The myth of individuality is truly amplified in so many spaces. And, we need to work on creating healthy blueprints for our families to be able to follow and really lead to generational changes, right? We talk about cycles of violence. We talk about cycles of poverty. So this is how you interrupt, by doing something differently and the more you recruit, the better. You have to start with partners and families.
Yeah, healing the family unit, right?
Absolutely.
Two healthy parents, that's such a strong foundation for kids. And if it can't be two healthy parents, one healthy parent, to raise a child that is, able to cope with the normal stress of life. How beautiful is that,
Exactly.
And we can achieve that if I really believe we can achieve that if we are able to connect people with the resources that they need for their individual situation and get them out of those silos that don't serve them anymore.
Yeah. You've said it beautifully. We can't dismiss the other part. There are relationships that are too unhealthy to maintain. And I've worked with domestic violence for so many years. It's absolutely so important to highlight that kids need one healthy parent. They really do. They need to see their primary attachment figure thrive and grow and be there for them, be fully there for them. Sometimes oftentimes a mother's ability to fully be present and engaged with their children gets in the way when there is a partner that's not healthy, right? And they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to heal. In fact, they've become scary and violent. And I just didn't want to not acknowledge that, because that is very much a reality of many women.
Sometimes things just can't work out, for many reasons. I know another really scary topic for parents, and it's a workshop you used to give to families many, many years ago.
Still do.
Oh, you still do?
In April, yes.
And it has always stuck to me. We always labeled it as keeping families safe, but really awareness around body safety and how to really, as best we can, prevent child sexual abuse. Can you talk a little bit about that topic?
Yeah.
It's not a fun topic. No parent ever wants to think that, their child will be abused. But are there things that we as parents of young children can do to keep their kids safe from abuse?
Yes, there's several. It's gonna come down to three, maybe four, depending on how much time we have. I think that as a society, having honest conversations, having honest realizations that child abuse impacts a lot more people than it appears to be, or the stigma, right? There's so much stigma around abuse and shame, and that perpetuates itself tremendously. I think that open and honest conversations about bodies and boundaries and safety, shame-free, supportive, I think that could make a difference, teaching children body parts and what they're called, that doesn't get old. It's really important.
And it sounds so silly, but us as adults, we do have a lot of shame around, these are what my body parts are called, and we might want to create silly names, but that's actually pretty dangerous, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yes, because it infantilizes, it makes it almost fun and takes away the seriousness and the privacy and the boundaries that should be to protect those body parts. I also know that parents who may have experienced some type of child abuse themselves are very unfortunately likely to also experience their own child's abuse.
That cycle, right?
The cycle. And so and I think about this a lot. The research is kind of unclear, but my experience is that they miss signs. And the signs are subtle, but they're there, right? And also keeping in mind that 90% of child sex abuse cases are perpetrated by someone that knows and trusts the child. Yeah. So the parents sometimes just need to be more vigilant about who they bring in their lives and what those boundaries are, what those rules of engagements are.
Yeah, I know childcare it's so hard for our young families, and it's so expensive, and it's a struggle to either find, an opening for baby at a center, or find a sitter who actually wants to, change diapers for 6 hours, 8 hours while you're at work. But it's so dangerous, right? When we kind of know someone, and, especially our children who can't talk yet, putting their care with them, because those would fall in the 90%, correct?
Exactly. And the informal networks can be really dangerous. Yeah. I think that hasn't changed. The figure hasn't changed. The 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. And unfortunately, that says a lot about our society, because that someone's doing that. We talk a lot about the victims, but someone's doing that. And by and large, it is men, right? So we also need to talk as a society about prevention and prevention of violence. So violence is violence, right? We talk about sexual violence. We talk about domestic violence. Because it's often perpetrated by boys and men, we need to have that conversation about their role in eradicating this gender-based, is often gender-based violence. And I think that a simplistic answer is highlighting emotional intelligence. We need to be raising boys. We need to be engaging men in being present and highlighting and promoting emotional health, mental health, in a presence, making space to talk about relationships, people, power dynamics. We know that sexual abuse is a crime of power. It's about power. It's about really not necessarily the sexual pleasure part. It's about power. And so, we need to talk about that, and we need to make spaces to evaluate also power differentials, even at the home, right?
Right.
Like the inequities, like how come the mental load is on often the female parent, right? How come there's all these different gender role expectations, and just really making space for those changes.
Yeah, I think that is so important. And I think, as a woman in the community, as the ED of Hopeful Beginnings, even I can be guilty of, I love my work with women, and I don't highlight enough that we do offer the same services that we're offering for moms, we're offering for dads, because a father is so important to a child, whether that be living in the home, living outside of the home. That healthy emotional attachment is just essential for these kiddos to thrive. And I think too often, men can be hesitant to ask for services, and then it can be hard coming into a Purple Hopeful Beginnings office because they feel out of place. Do you see, whether they be fathers or men at the Rolling Meadows Human Service Department, what kind of services are for the fathers there?
Same as there are for women. We're all about equity as much as we can for services. We have survivors. We do work with a lot of crises. So we have survivors that are male. We have, people that are in emotional, actually, really, it's very much 50-50. Our clients are half male, half female, and all walks of life. We have older adults as they're navigating the difficulties and challenges of aging and loss. I don't think we have new parents right now, but we certainly have couples. Yeah. It's very exciting to get to do preventative work after doing, most of my career has been very reactive. And I started a rape crisis center, for God's sake. So it feels like a luxury, but so important. It shouldn't be a luxury, right? Mental health should be a luxury. Making space for women and for men to heal and have some courageous conversations shouldn't be a luxury. It
just should be part of our society of, let's get your checkup of how you're doing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Let's make time to check in with ourselves.
Yeah.
So what are now that you've created this really full service Rolling Meadows Human Service Department, what are your goals for the community in the next 5 years? Where do you see services growing to?
So many. I have to reel myself in. That is a fantastic question. I just presented my strategic plan. It includes, as always, lots of partnerships. Yeah. We really want to anticipate the needs of the community and all the subsectors of that community and show up. We have had to continue our mobile food pantry efforts. I'm getting the sense that we might need a personal hygiene product pantry, a clothing pantry. Again, hopefully through partnerships, I anticipate needing to amplify our physical health systems with partnerships that perhaps could offer physical care, medical care. Back in the day, that was the resource that was offered. So if it was done before, it can be done again. I just have to figure out how. It's exciting that we just expanded and we purchased a space for our community resource center. We've been operating out of this tiny space for 12 years now. And we outgrew at the moment we started, but we're grateful to have been there. So we're going to be expanding. And I think it leaves us, the space that we're moving our resource center leaves us more opportunity for better partnerships. It can allow us to consistently host some of our important community resources like Hopeful Beginning, like our legal clinics, and tutoring, our summer camp. We don't have to be nomads in the summer going around to whoever will welcome us.
Space is hard, especially in the northwest suburbs. It is at a premium. So congratulations on getting a new physical space because it sounds really like you have not just hopes for the Rolling Meadows communities, but you have a plan of how your team needs to grow to really meet the complexities that residents are dealing with.
Yes, while maintaining some of the status quo, because people really like to come to City Hall for resources, so we'll be there as well. That's exciting to me to have
Two
both
spaces.
ends.
That's
I
awesome.
live in the both ends. So yes.
So if a Rolling Meadows residents want to get in touch with you, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that? How do they find you?
So I'm at City Hall in Rolling Meadows most days, and I have this wonderful team of human service providers. I can be reached at my office. I can people can call. People can show up, and one of us will take care of them. They can email. My email is nievesn@cityrm.org. And my direct line, because I don't know my office line, but my direct line is 847-870-2636.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Nieves, for coming on the Hopeful Beginnings podcast. You raised some really important topics today, and I'm so glad to have a partner like you in the community.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.